Bangladesh is sliding deeper into crisis as the country moves closer to national elections, with political uncertainty, street violence, and communal tensions converging into a volatile mix. What began as political unrest has now taken a darker turn, with religious minorities increasingly finding themselves in the crosshairs. The lynching of a Hindu man over alleged blasphemy has triggered fresh outrage, raising serious questions about the interim government's ability or willingness to rein in extremist forces gaining ground under its watch.
Bangladesh has been on edge for weeks. The killing of youth leader and election candidate Sharif Osman Hadi during a campaign event in Dhaka sparked violent protests across the capital. Attacks that quickly escalated into assaults on media houses, cultural institutions, and public infrastructure. Security deployments increased, but order did not return. Instead, the unrest has widened, spilling beyond politics and into communal fault lines long feared by minority groups. That fear turned into a brutal reality in Mymensingh. A Hindu factory worker, Deepu Chandra Das, was lynched to death over alleged blasphemy. His body later hung from a tree and set on fire in public view. Local and eyewitness accounts say Das was first dragged out of his workplace, beaten with sticks and crude weapons, and then killed by a mob accusing him of making derogatory remarks about Islam and Prophet Muhammad. The horrifying visuals circulated widely on social media, sending shockwaves far beyond Bangladesh's borders. 10 people have been arrested so far, but for many, justice feels uncertain. The lynching has become a grim symbol of what minority groups say is a worsening pattern. One unfolding under the interim administration led by Muhammad Yunus. Formed after former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina fled the country in August 2024, the Yunus-led administration was meant to stabilize Bangladesh during its political transition. Instead, critics argue the state is losing control, creating space for Islamist extremism and mob justice to flourish. Minority organizations took to the streets in Dhaka, forming human chains and staging protests, accusing the interim government of failing to protect vulnerable communities. Leaders from Hindu and other minority groups say attacks, intimidation, and silence from authorities have become disturbingly common since the change of power last year. For them, the killing of Deepu Chandra Das is not an isolated incident, but part of a broader collapse of law, order, and accountability.
During the regime change occupation, within 1 minute of Sheikh Hasina leaving the country, they had started the attacks on the Hindu minorities. The killings, the lynching, the rape, destroying their property, destroying their businesses. The same thing is happening now. Yesterday, in a district, in Mymensingh district, and in an area not very far from Dhaka, a young 30-year-old Hindu on a fake charge of blasphemy or something, he was beaten to death, and then his body was put on a stick and burnt. Now, what kind of a society is this? Is this 21st century? Is this civilization? You're going back to barbarism. Now, this must be called out.
The lynching has also deepened diplomatic strain. India described the killing as a horrendous act and expressed strong concern over the safety of minorities in Bangladesh.
We are all aware of the recent developments in Bangladesh. We have been closely following them, and as far as law and order situation is concerned, I have been apprising you from time to time as to what our position has been or should be and is today. The unremitting hostility against minorities in Bangladesh, including Hindus, Christians, and Buddhists, at the hands of extremists, is a matter of grave concern. We condemn the recent gruesome killing of a Hindu youth in Mymensingh and expect that the perpetrators of the crime would be brought to justice. Over 2,900 incidents of violence against minorities, including cases of killings, arsons, land grab, have been documented by independent sources during the tenure of the interim government. These incidents cannot be brushed aside as mere media exaggerations or dismissed as political violence.
Hundreds protested outside Bangladesh's High Commission in New Delhi, demanding accountability and protection for Hindu communities across the border.
हम लोग चाहते हैं हिंदुओं को जीने दो, हिंदुओं को जीने का अधिकार है, हिंदू कभी किसी को नहीं मारता, आज हमारी बहन बेटी को चुन चुन के मारा जा रहा है.
The crisis is now spilling into regional politics. Relations between India and Bangladesh have sharply deteriorated in recent weeks, with both sides suspending visa services. Analysts warn the instability unfolding just weeks before parliamentary elections risks reshaping Bangladesh's domestic and foreign policy direction.
He is making a drastic U-turn in Bangladesh's foreign policy. He is not an elected leader. The kind of drastic turn he is made in Bangladesh foreign policy could be done by an elected leader with mandate. Okay, we will live with it. But his approach within months of coming to power, quote unquote, as a chief advisor, of downgrading all relations with India, blaming the ills and problems of Bangladesh on India, and then simultaneously cozying up with Pakistan, not only in trade and economic matters, but on military and intelligence matters, signing MOUs, signing military agreements of joint training, intelligence sharing. All of this indicate that Yunus wants to take Bangladesh down the path of Islam. And sure, it can be Islam, but in that umbrella, he is also allowing, enabling, encouraging radical extremist Islamic elements also to gain an influential voice within Bangladesh.
As Bangladesh heads towards elections, the warning signs are growing louder. Political chaos, rising Islamist extremism, attacks on minorities, and shifting regional alignments are converging into a crisis far deeper than the street protests. For Bangladesh's minorities and for a region watching closely, the question is no longer just about elections, it is about whether the state can still protect its people, or whether fear, extremism, and mob rule are becoming the new normal.